Thanks for tuning in to another tips and tutorial video brought to you by my channel, Real Fine Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about weather. Let's get to it. So for some of you that have seen my videos, I talk about the weather a lot. And that is for a very good reason. It is really important. And it plays in very significant roles in catching fish. So there's a lot that needs to be covered, so I'm just going to get right into it. I feel like people generally want to go fishing when it's very sunny out. You know, it's nice to be outside, sun's shining, it's warm. But fishing on a sunny day isn't necessarily a good condition for catching fish. Let's take bass for instance. You know that they have camouflage colors. So when the sun is shining, it gives their presence away. They're more apt to be seen by their predators or their prey. Bass are very vulnerable creatures. They like to stay hidden and do like an attack approach. So they'll do what they can to be hidden, which is usually to hide under shade, under structure. So if you're out fishing on a sunny day, I wouldn't stay out in open water. I would stay near the shorelines, under some trees, under fallen logs, near rocks, because they will typically be hiding out in there, not in open water where the sun is shining. Also, visibility is very high on a sunny day, so I would use realistic looking bait, such as lures that have bluegill colors, perch colors, fish movements. A lot of those can be crankbaits, swim baits, soft plastics, any lure that has natural movement. Also, with a sunny day, it's typically hotter. Those fish can feel the heat just like we can. So if you're out fishing and it's 90 degrees and you're like, it's hot, they're thinking the same thing. They're in the water and it's hot. They don't want to eat. Let's move on to a cloudy day. So when there's a lot of overhead clouds, it can be actually very beneficial. It can have the opposite effect of fishing on a sunny day. It lowers the visibility of fish, so the need to be hidden lowers. They can be out roaming around more. Also, using dark lures is beneficial. In my personal experience, if you're using a topwater frog, I feel like the darker is the better. Because with the overcast, it shows contrast, so colors appear darker. But if you don't have dark lures, bright, natural looking colors will work just as fine. Bass definitely feel a lot less vulnerable on a cloudy day. Now on to rainy days. I personally had the most luck on rainy days, believe it or not. Bass are very sensitive to barometric pressure. Barometric pressure is the pressure that is caused when fronts are moving within each other. So when you have a warm front moving in, that generally means that there's going to be some sort of precipitation. And with precipitation, such as rain, all of that is stored in the clouds. So when you think barometric pressure, an easy way to remember is take this bag for instance. So this is a cloud moving in a warm front. See how it's filled and there's pressure on the outside? Bass respond to that pressure as well. And when the cloud moves in over the location of where you're fishing and that pressure gets released, which means rain is coming, there's a lot less pressure and they respond to that. And with that decreasing pressure, they feel the need that they would have to feed. Another example to take. So when there's a big storm moving in and everybody feels the need to go grocery shopping and prep for the storm, that is exactly what bass do as well. So after the rainstorm moves, the pressure starts going up again. And then they start to slow down. So if you know that a storm is coming in, get out there, fish. Even if it's raining, continue to fish. But please do it safely because chances are there's going to be lightning in a storm and you're holding a lightning rod. If you start hearing rolls of thunder, I would remove yourself from the location and get to safety. Based on my personal experience, using topwater frogs when it's raining, I find is the best. I feel like with all the raindrops hitting the water, the fish's attention go up. Because of all the raindrops. I feel like they're mimicking bugs landing on the water. If you do choose to fish on a rainy day, I suggest downloading the WeatherBug app. They have an awesome feature called Spark. It'll tell you how far away the last lightning strike was from your location and give you alerts when safety is about to be hindered. Another good tip for a rainy day is keep that slogan in mind. High and dry, low in H2O. So if it's not raining, it's typically higher pressure. When rain is coming in, or it's raining already, that's low pressure. People respond to high pressure too. If there's a lot of barometric pressure in the atmosphere, people tend to get headaches. They're roaming around all day with this headache that they have no idea where it came from. It might not have anything to do with caffeine or what they ate, how they slept. It could just be in the air. And fish feel that too. Now let's move on to windy days. Windy days are especially hard fishing, especially if you're out on a kayak. I've had many kayak fishing trips where it was very windy. It was extremely hard to maneuver around the lake and stay in one spot. However, I caught a lot of fish when it was windy. I feel that the lure that you're using gets distorted under the waves, so their natural instinct to strike kicks in. They can't really determine what it is that's moving, so they hit it anyways. I find the best lures to use on a windy day are lures that have a lot of movement, like spinners, paddlefoot frogs, jerk baits. Also, bright colors would be beneficial on a windy day. So to sum it up and rank the best fishing times according to weather, rainy days are the best. There's a lot of pressure release and they feel more comfortable going out to feed. Cloudy days are second. I feel like bass are more willing to roam around and hunt for their prey. Windy days are third. Even though it's hard to cast and maneuver yourself around on a kayak or a boat with your lure being distorted, they're more likely to smash anything that they see. And then lastly, sunny days. I typically try to stay away from fishing on a sunny day. Yeah, it's great to be outdoors and the sun feels great, but it's not very beneficial when fishing. Unless you find some shade and cover and structure and use realistic looking baits, then by all means go for it. But if it's hot, you might have a dry day. And with all these different types of weather, always keep in mind the temperature. Bass do roam around when the water's around 40 degrees, and they do strike, but typically it's the males. But the females are staying stagnant in low waters because it is warmer down there. The females don't typically come out until the water's around 55 degrees. That's when the spawn season hits. So that's when the males and females switch. The males will now stay behind and the females will start going out. And the females are always the trophy fish. When you get an 8-pounder, it's typically a female. And like I said, for the sunny day, when it's really hot, males and females do not like the heat. They'll do whatever it takes to get out of the sun, which usually entails finding shade or finding a deeper depth. And what happens with water temp is that in the winter, here's your surface and here's your bottom. So the surface is very cold because of the air, etc. At the bottom, it still has retained heat from summer and fall. So they'll stay down there and bury themselves in the sand or mud to stay warm. And in the summer, that'll switch. So now the hot water is up top because of the sun, and then the cooler water is now on the bottom that's retained from the winter. So in order to stay cool, again, they'll bury themselves in the sand and in the mud. But when you find that perfect temperature, like on a 70-degree day, they'll all meet in the middle, and they're more likely to roam around. And now it's time for the tip of the day. Whenever you just get to your fishing location, before you take your first cast, stay at least 8 to 10 feet away from the shoreline. After you take a couple casts from that distance, then you shall move forward to the shore. The reason for this is because bass tend to sit at the shoreline, waiting for bugs or worms or frogs to come in from the shore. So if you approach the shore abruptly, you might scare them off. Also, another tip for approaching the shoreline, the color of your shirt may matter. Try to stay away from bright fluorescent colored shirts. You kind of want to blend in more with the environment, like something that will blend in with the trees, kind of camouflage yourself or wear darker clothing, because this too can also scare the bass away. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Or if you have any other fishing subjects that you would like for me to discuss, also leave those. I hope you have a real fine day.